Welcome everyone to another episode of our virtual travel party with Latino World Travelers. Today we have with us Sky, and she's gonna talk to us about Bolivia and being trapped in Bolivia. So I cannot wait for you to see this episode. Stay tuned because she's gonna share her saucy tips about how to navigate Bolivia. I cannot wait. Thank you so much, Sky, for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here.
So tell us, when did you go to Bolivia and what made you go there?
Sure. I started around a year ago now, a trip through South America. I wanted to go on a solo trip. It was my first solo trip. And I thought, what better place to do my first solo trip than in the motherland in South America. So obviously I'm Colombian and I've traveled some parts of Colombia, but I haven't fully actually got to experience Colombia how I would have liked to. Mm-hmm. So I thought, let me just start my trip. I'll do Peru, head down to Bolivia, because at that moment in time, Ecuador was a bit unsettling. So I didn't visit Ecuador, but I went through Peru, Bolivia, and then Chile. And then after Chile, I then came back to Colombia.
And that sounds like an amazing tour.
Oh, it was literally the trip of a lifetime. It was so good. I then actually got to visit Brazil as well in February for Rio Carnival, which was just phenomenal. It was so good. And so when I got to Bolivia, it was just after. So I crossed the border. I literally did it all by road. Started from Lima, then made my way down through Peru, did all the main hotspots in Peru, and then got to Lake Titicaca, and that's where you cross over to Bolivia, and then you reach Copacabana.
When you cross to Bolivia, how do you cross? Like just a bus, or is there a boat?
Yeah, no, it's by bus. It's by bus. So I believe we went through. If I remember correctly, we went by boat to the border of Peru. No, I think I'm getting it confused with another tour I did. But anyway, we ended up getting on a bus, then going to the border of Peru. Then this is another thing. So we got to the border of Peru. We got our passport stamped to say we're leaving Peru. And because I've never actually crossed any borders by land before, I completely forgot that you had to get your stamp also in Bolivia to say you've entered Bolivia. So I got to Peru, literally did my stamp on my passport, got my backpack back on, then literally crossed the border over to Bolivia, just walking. There's like a little arc that you just walk through, and then now you're in Bolivia.
Wow.
And they were pushing us because I think I was one of the last few that they were waiting on in the bus. So I got into Bolivia and the bus was right there. And then the guy at the bus was like, come on, like get on the bus, we need to go. So I just thought, okay, yeah, great, let me get on the bus and go. And no stamp, no visa, no nothing. So I thought, I didn't think anything of it. Obviously, I didn't realize at the time. I actually only realized it was an issue when I was going to cross from Bolivia to Chile.
Oh,
a story I'll probably end up getting to later on. But so I I got to Bolivia and I stayed in Copacabana, which is not too far off the border. It's still on Lake Titicaca. And stayed there a few days. I thought, I thought I need to relax because I had quite an intense trip through Peru. There was a lot more trekking and hiking than I had anticipated. And I did plan my trip beforehand to include those things, but I hadn't actually realized that it was going to be as much as it was. So
sometimes to get the best views, you have to trek like such a distance. And wake up at 4 a.m. and...
Oh, trust me, I did all of it. I did the whole waking up at nighttime and then trekking. Oh my goodness, that was good memories. But throughout the process, I remember I lost so much weight because I hadn't realized just how much trekking was going to be involved. And I'm talking about 3 or 4 day trips of just like walking for 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours each day. And it's a lot for me because I've never been a hiker in the past. So that was the first time I started, and it was because of that I developed my love for hiking and trekking and everything now.
How did you protect your feet from all that walking?
Well, this is the thing. So I bought hiking shoes before my trip, but I didn't know that you had to make sure you proper wore in your hiking shoes before you started trekking. So I did every newbie's mistake. I did my first rookie mistake, which was just to wear my hiking shoes fresh. And yeah,
Oh, you didn't break them in.
I didn't break them in, so I
Oh
got
no.
blisters all over my feet. As like we stayed in one of my treks, one of my first ones. We stayed in a hotel after, with a nice swimming pool and everything. It was part of the tour. And I remember taking my shoes off and going and chilling by the pool. And I looked at my feet and I thought, oh my God, what is going on? They were just smashed up. There was blisters everywhere. I was tired. I was exhausted. Also,
Oh
um,
no, poor
my
thing.
from walking down Colca Canyon in Peru, there was a point where my knees really started hurting me because they're not used to, and obviously from you putting the weight on them, they start to hurt you after a while. So then it got to the point where I couldn't walk anymore. And I made all of the mistakes that you make when you don't do your research properly.
So then you got to Copacabana and you were like, I'm gonna relax.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, you know what, let me take 3 days to just sleep and relax. And I said, no more hiking, no more trekking, nothing.
Great call.
Yeah. So then anyway, I left Copacabana. We then made our way to La Paz. It was quite a long bus ride to La Paz. And ended up getting there on 10 p.m. I think we actually took longer than anticipated because the protest had already started in Bolivia. So I arrived in Bolivia during their election period.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of the turbulence that was going on in the country in terms of the oppositions and anything like that. So I wasn't really aware, I was just in my traveler mode.
And this was last year?
This was last year. So I got there about, I think, must have been like the first week of November.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I did, because I did Peru in October, and then the whole of November I did Bolivia and Chile. So yeah, it must have been the first 2 weeks. And so we obviously got there a bit later on. I had already booked my hotel. I booked to stay in a hostel that was it was called the Prado Capsule Hostel, which is like you stay in these pods. I thought the idea sounds really cool, right? So I thought, well, let me just go, because what I do is I always stay 2 days in wherever I'm going. I only book 2 nights maximum to try out the hostel to see if I like it, because you never know. I've stayed in pretty bad hostels and you don't want to risk spending all that money getting there and not liking it.
It gives you the flexibility to switch to another place if it's not what you expected. Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes even extending your stay when you're in the hostel itself, it can be cheaper because you're not paying any booking fees by any other platform. So
that is true.
So it's a good little tip. Yeah. So I booked my stay, and then I got to La Paz. It was the evening time. The bus leaves you right near the hostel. So I went in, and I was staying in a room with just 2 people. So it was the pods come in bunk beds, right? So I was the one on top, and I literally remember opening up the door, because the pod had like a door. So you open up the door and it's like inside the pod there's all these blue lights. You've got your own TV in your pod. You've got a ring light mirror. I'll show you guys in a second what it looks like. It was quite nice. I thought, what is this? What's this luxury? I'm not used to staying in luxury in hostels. So it was nice. I thought, okay, lovely. And it wasn't actually that expensive. I think the night probably cost me about £10, which is probably about $12-13 more or less. The night, which wasn't extremely expensive for what it was.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so I got there, everything was cool, I was happy. My plan was just to get there and then figure out what I wanted to do in La Paz, because I didn't have anything booked. I only had one thing booked, which was the next day I had a free walking tour around the city.
Okay.
And that managed to go ahead and happen. So I did wake up the next morning, and it was like around 9 a.m. I had to be ready, went for the city walking tour. And I love walking tours. I think they're a great way for you to get to know the city, get to know your surroundings. you end up going to places that you wouldn't usually go to because, you know, you've got a local that's showing you around, especially if you are getting shown by a local. It's amazing. Because yeah, I'm the kind of person that, you know, especially because they speak Spanish, I feel like there's a level of like a barrier that you break through because it kind of feels like it's one of you.
Sí, sí, claro.
So I was asking him, you know, I want to get a real idea of what it's actually like in Bolivia, in La Paz, what life is like. So I was asking him everything, and he showed me so much. I loved this walking tour. He showed me everything. I didn't know there was like over 4,000 varieties of potatoes.
Oh,
did you know that?
There's no, I had no idea.
Yeah, and Peru, between that, in the Andean region is where they're mostly grown. I didn't know that, but that's interesting to know. I also got to see the San Pedro prison. I don't know if you've heard of San Pedro. It's a prison literally in the center of La Paz, downtown La Paz, and it's a male prison. And there's actually families that live there in this prison. Wow. Yeah, as in kids and wife, and they live with their husband in prison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a shock to me. So at first I thought,
I've never seen that before.
Neither had I. I've never heard of it before until I got there. And he started explaining to me, he said the kids every day at 2 p.m, they leave the prison to go to the school across the road, and then they get brought back inside the prison and they continue living their life as normal. What? What kind of upbringing? I was so shocked. I said, "Are you like seriously? How does that work? Why do they let families inside?" But essentially, the prison in itself is like its own little city because it has its own little community. It has kind of like the prison mayor, and there's shops and barber shops, and you know, there's a whole world inside of that prison. So you know, the families have no need to leave. Wow. And of course, you have to bear in mind we're talking about a country where the male is very much the head of the family. He's the provider, he's the breadwinner. So the women and the kids won't have any way of being supported. And they actually get paid a salary for being inside the prison. They get an allowance, sorry, not like a salary. It's like an allowance that they get to help the families so they can shop in the prison and everything and live. Wow. But the most interesting part about that prison is they used to do tours so that you could basically spend either the day looking around the prison and actually seeing what a family in a prison, how they live, but also you could spend about $5. It was about $5, and you can spend the night inside the prison and party with the prisoners.
No way.
Yeah.
And it's not dangerous? I mean, these are people who are criminals.
We're talking like pretty bad criminals as well. But, you know, there's some really adventurous people out there. So, you know, they used to carry out these tours. And about 3 or 4 years ago, what ended up happening is in one of the parties, they actually, a really terrible thing happened where one of the girls that was part of the tour, she actually ended up getting raped. Oh. So that was, from that point onwards, they said, no more. This is not happening. Especially, I mean, we're talking about tourists, so it's extremely, extremely dangerous. And they ended up saying, no, we're not allowing any more tours. And I mean, this is only 4 years ago, so it wasn't even that long ago since they stopped doing this. But the other thing that was that's crazy about the prison is there actually used to be, or there is, a cocaine factory underneath the prison. I mean, these are all facts. I cannot write this. This is actually real life, and this is the world that we're living in today. Wow. But there's a cocaine factory underneath the prison. And when you walk alongside the prison, you see on the wall, there's holes all along. And this is in plain sight. Anybody can see this going by. We walked by, I even took a picture, which I'll show you guys in a bit, but there's holes in the wall, which is where they used to smuggle their cocaine, or still do smuggle their cocaine outside into the city.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it?
Yes, I believe you completely.
This is the world that we're living in. I live in Colombia, We're notorious for a reason, and I have never seen anything of the
Nothing like
like
that.
here. And this is in the middle of the center of La Paz, which is what's insane. So anyway,
But other than that, did you feel safe in La Paz?
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. There was, you know what, because of the circumstances, because of the elections and everything that was going on, there was a lot of protests, and because of that, there was a level of insecurity to an extent, because obviously you got people running up and down, and the protests got pretty bad towards the end. So if it wasn't because of that, like on the first couple of days that I arrived in La Paz, I was walking around by myself fine. I would go out, find restaurants to eat. I would get on the metro. They have like a metro cable. I'll get on the little metro cable and just go wherever, really, just take it to wherever it took me, and then got off, see what there is to do there. And yeah, I felt pretty safe. I didn't really get to interact much with Bolivian people, much as I would have liked to. Didn't have much of an interaction except maybe the staff at the hostel, because it's where I spent most of my time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Let's go back to Copacabana. Is there anything to do there? I know you stay there, but did you do anything there?
Yes, there is. I did the Isla del Sol, which is basically a little island just in Lake Titicaca, and you can take a boat from Copacabana. I don't actually remember how much it costs, but I don't think it's too much. And it's a boat for about an hour, which, I mean, Lake Titicaca is huge. You can easily mistake it for being the just sea, because you literally I think it's the biggest lake in South America, if I'm not wrong.
I think so too.
Yeah, so yeah, we did Isla del Sol, which is basically somewhere where you can, I did do a little bit of trekking. So you hike through the island, you hike up to the top, you get amazing views of the lake, and then you basically just go back down and then get the boat back, really. But it's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful island. I recommend visiting there. And I think that was all I did, because I actually got back from a tour that ended in Copacabana. So it started in Peru and ended in Copacabana, which was the Amantani Island. I'm not sure if you heard of it. It's a very beautiful island there. That's on the border between Peru and Bolivia. And the tour then finished by going basically to Bolivia. So yeah, I'm sure there might be other stuff to do in Copacabana, but it's a very small town, and the people there are lovely, really nice, and it's got this kind of like hippie vibe to it. There's a lot of people just chilling, like playing their guitars everywhere, just relaxing. The restaurants and the bars are mainly travelers who are working there, just trying to get a bit of money whilst they keep on traveling. So I loved it. It was really relaxing, really relaxing there. And it's a really cool.
How's the Bolivian food?
So with Bolivian food, I mean, I didn't taste everything as much as I would have liked, again, because I was waiting to get to La Paz, since there's more of a variety.
Yeah.
But then most restaurants were closed by the time I got to La Paz. But I did try like the salteñas, which is an empanada. But instead of having, like in Colombia, our empanadas have, like chicken and potato, and they're stuffed with that. Over there, it's stuffed with like stew, like beef stew. So like when you bite into them, it's water like coming out, like stew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it was nice. It was nice. Also, funny thing is, there isn't many restaurants of like typical restaurants per se. There is a lot of chicken shops, chicken and chip shops. So everywhere you go, every so often, you just find a chicken shop. So I ate a lot of chicken over there, and I had this really.
Was it good at least?
Yeah, it was good. That chicken was good. And also, I like the idea that they had in these chicken shops. There's a separate bin for you to put all your leftover bones, and they basically collect them to give all the leftover food for the stray dogs. Which was quite a nice idea. Yeah, a lot of stray dogs in Bolivia, especially in La Paz, like loads. Even though the guide told me that they do have homes, they just prefer to be out on the streets.
Okay,
that's true, but. Yeah, and then also I had this really weird craving for Mexican food. I don't know why. Whilst I was in Bolivia, so I had a lot of tacos.
Did you find?
Yeah, yeah, there was a lot, there was actually quite a few Mexican restaurants there, and they did 2-for-1 tacos and 2-for-1 mojitos. So I was really happy, obviously, eating
Yeah,
there every
yeah.
single day.
But I know the feeling because sometimes I went to Russia and I had Mexican food.
Oh, in Russia,
Because I couldn't believe there was a Latino restaurant. So I'm like, I need to go there.
obviously, yeah, you have to
Yes.
find your own everywhere you go to an extent.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Um,
But apart from that, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't get to taste a lot of the Bolivian food. And I have now seen documentaries about Bolivian food, and I'm just pissed I didn't get to go and see them.
oh. So how many days were you there for the entire time? I know did you stay longer because you were trapped because of the protest, or were you originally gonna stay that amount of time, but you couldn't do the activities you wanted because of the protest?
Yeah, no, my plan was to stay 2 weeks in every country. But
Mm-hmm.
then Peru ended up being 4 weeks. So then I thought, okay, I'll stay 2 weeks in Bolivia. But it ended up being longer. So initially, I'd only planned to stay 5 days in La Paz, and I ended up staying 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And every day just felt, once you've set your mind to staying in a place and then leaving by a certain date, any day after that just feels like eternity, because you can't wait to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, yeah, so I booked my stay. I'll tell you guys how I ended up being trapped in La Paz. This is what's happened. So I booked my stay in the hostel for 2 days, and I think I got there on like a Wednesday. Ended up saying, okay, cool, by Saturday, I'll see how things are. If I can get stuff done over the weekend, then I'm good to go by Monday or Tuesday, and then I'll move on. I was meant to go to Sucre, which is another city in Bolivia. Anyway, I stayed my first 2 days, did my city walking tour, rested, and just walked around, got to know my surroundings, got familiar with where I was, restaurants, everything, the people, just get a feel of the country so I know how to navigate. And on the second day, I thought, this is kind of nice. Let me extend my stay until Sunday. Well, that's my 5 days. I like the hostel. So I then booked my Death Road tour, which was, wow, something very dangerous, but very fun.
Which you're gonna share with us what it is.
Yeah, Death Road is something. It's not for the faint-hearted. But so there was that I booked that, and basically when I was booking my tours, the lady was telling me, she said, let's just wait and see because of all these protests that are going on. And I was like, oh yeah, there's, I see people outside, but the protests look really peaceful. They were only like sort of between midday and 4 p.m. and then things will calm down. I could go out and have dinner in the evening and it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was staying in downtown La Paz, and it was like basically El Centro. It was like the center of everything. So all the protests were taking place right outside my doorstep, right? So my hostel had like a little corridor, and at the end of the corridor, that was it. It was the gate in the middle of the center of town.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lady said to me, let's just wait and see, because they seem to be restricting traffic, public transport, as in the public transport within the city was restricted. So then what happened is the bus drivers went on strike. Okay. And then that caused obviously a lot of traffic around the city. So she said, let's just wait. And I thought, okay, fine, that's okay. So then I ended up basically just kind of like, when was it? This was on like the Saturday. I thought I had Death Road booked. So I booked the tour and I actually went and did it. And first of all, Death Road is just, I don't think this should be advertised as something that everybody can do.
What is that?
So yeah, so basically Death Road is used to be the most dangerous road in the world. And it's essentially a road that it's very narrow. And it used to be a transit road. So, buses and cars used to go down that road. And it had the highest death toll in the world of like people just falling over the edge of the cliff and dying. And bear in mind, it was like a two-way road. So people would have to like,
Is this the Norjungas that they call it? Norjungas?
I think you posted Mimi the other day,
that's what I'm like, wait, this looks very familiar. This sounds very familiar. Yeah, we posted the other day about it, actually.
Yeah, so surreal. It is surreal. But they said anybody can do it. They said as long as you know how to ride a bike, you can do it.
No.
So I said, okay, well, last time I rode a bike was 15 and that was fine. So let me go.
So now people don't take the car, they go on a bike.
Yeah, so now they don't allow anybody to transit, only the vans, because on the tour, only on the tour you have to basically take a van in case you decide not to do it. When I first heard that, I thought, why would anybody choose not to do it? Anyway, I decided, let me go for it. So you start basically at the top, and the top is the normal road. It's a paved road. So and it's beautiful. The sights down to where you start the actual death road is amazing. And, it's all downhill, so you don't have to pedal or anything. It's great. They give you all the gear and everything. Then we get to the actual death road, and it's all, how do you say it? It's like, calle destapada. So there's all rocks and everything everywhere. So, you have to really hold on to your bike. And I remember asking the guide, I said, is it like this all the way down, or is it just this part? And he goes, oh no, it's like this for 3 hours.
No.
I thought, oh my God. I said, okay, well, Sky, you're here now. And this is just something that kept happening to me over and over again. So I said, okay, that's fine. Let's go. And the rule with Death Road is you actually have to ride on the cliff edge to allow the cars that are coming up to basically overtake on the inside.
Yeah.
So whenever I would naturally try to verge towards the inside of the cliff so I feel safe, the guy will be like, no, go out. And then I'll have to go back to the cliff edge.
Oh my God.
And it's not a steady road. So because of all the rocks, your bike's going to the left and to the right, and you're like, it's not very stable. And the way to overcome that is you have to go at a certain pace. You can't go too quickly, but you can't go too slowly. So you have to find the balance. And at first it was really hard, but like the first hour, I think I peed my pants because I was just so scared. I was like, Sky, what are you doing? Why did you do this? Well, just get inside that van. But at the same time, I'm quite stubborn. So I decided not to. And I just thought, you know what, Sky, just go for it. Just do it. You're here now. You can do this. Come on. Part of you overcoming challenges. And
were you trembling as you were going down?
My hands, like, because of how tight I was holding the steering wheel. Is it called the steering wheel? What's it called? The steering wheel, the front of the bike. Like, my nails were digging into my thing. That's how tight I was holding it. So I opened up my hand and literally I had like almost blood.
Did it go numb at some point?
Yeah, I think I feel like maybe at one point I was crying as I was going down Death Road, but it was an experience. And it's also, there's some waterfall parts as well, so you have to go in like through the waterfalls and everything.
Wow.
There was 7 of us. One of the guys ended up going in the van very early on, and I was just adamant that I wasn't going to be the second one. So I said, you know what, it's 6 of us, let's go. I was obviously at the back, all the way at the back. Everyone else was like straight ahead.
Oh my God.
Even the tour guide even forgot about me. He just left me.
Oh, I feel so bad.
But if my mom knew where I was right now.
The question is, do you have travel insurance? Because
Good question. That's another thing they do they ask you if you have travel insurance, but I didn't travel with travel insurance. I know it's naughty of me not to have done that. But I mean, if I'm dead, I'm dead. What travel insurance?
I know.
That's what was it. I was just going wild. I was going through a period of my life where I was just like, fuck it, I don't care. But anyway, so yeah,
is it an experience that you say is at least worth doing it once in your lifetime?
Oh yeah, what, Death Road? Oh, you mean solo traveling?
No, the Death Road.
Death Road. I say, yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to take my brother on it because I know he's quite adventurous in that sense as well. So he would enjoy it. Anybody who likes a bit of adrenaline and a bit of, just adventure, this is, oh my God. I felt so good after I completed it.
Mm-hmm.
So good. But what I would say is if you don't feel comfortable on a bike, don't do it, because it is pretty dangerous. And I don't think they highlight that much when you're booking it.
Because of the road and the conditions and the rocks, does the bike slides when you're going through it?
Yeah.
So you're going downhill and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly. You think your bike is going that way, but the bike ends up going that way because the back wheels, you have no control. You're just basically, wherever you take the front of your bike is where you think that's where you're going, but it's not. So it takes a bit of getting used to. It took me about an hour for me to actually understand how to, and then once I got a bit comfortable, and the whole point of death road is just letting go. You cut it, because I was holding it so tight, I was actually it was actually more dangerous. I needed to be like let myself go a bit more loose and let things just sort of shake a little bit. And then once I started doing that, I started going a bit more straight. I stopped, going all over the place. It was my own nerves that were getting in the way of me.
Got it.
Of me enjoying. I mean, and that is a life lesson in itself, because I feel sometimes we just get so caught up in the nerves and the fear and the esto puede pasar, aquello puede pasar, this and that can happen, that you forget to just enjoy it and have fun.
Did you record it?
I couldn't, because I didn't have a GoPro when I went traveling, but you could only do it with a GoPro, because obviously your both hands are busy. What I did was every now and again when we stopped to take pictures, I did record it. So I'm going to go through my La Paz highlights and you'll see all of this.
Absolutely, I can't wait.
Yeah. And on there you'll see the cliff and everything and how it is. Some parts were wider, other parts were more narrow of the road. So, you basically just had to.
Wow.
I think like yo me eché como 10 bendiciones all the way down the road. I was like, just make sure I get to the end. I just want to see the end of this. And at the end it does say like, it says welcome to death road, but the thing there is like, I've survived death road.
Oh wow.
Because making it to the end is a challenge, but it's so worth it. I would definitely recommend it to those who like an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, so people who like skydiving, people who like to swim with sharks, like those kind of people.
Yeah, exactly.
So pretty much me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm that kind of person. That's why I thought, let me do it.
Yes.
But yeah,
so after you left there, you pretty much couldn't do anything else because it got worse, right?
Yeah, so the protest then, when I got back, the protest then started going on into the evenings, which made it now harder for me to go out and find food. My hostel only did breakfast and it had a tiny kitchen, but there wasn't like any supermarkets or anything around me that was open. I didn't see one supermarket. I didn't visit one supermarket when I was in La Paz. I'm not sure why that was. But anyway, so there was the peak of it all was when, I think it was the day after I did Death Road. I went out during the day because you basically had to be out before midday and then be back in the hostel by midday, because that's when all the tours started happening. So I thought I'll go out in the morning, make the most, come back. Then in the evening I planned to go out to eat, but then the protest was still happening. However, by then they weren't stopping people from leaving, but they were recommending you and advising you not to go, like not to leave the premises.
Yeah.
I was hungry. I said, look guys, I need to go and eat something because I've been at Death Road all day and that took it out of me. So I need to go and eat. So I left the hostel and I started walking around. I thought I'd visit some of the restaurants that were a bit higher up from where I was staying. And I ended up getting caught in between the protests, and there was like the two different parties that were like basically fighting, and they were throwing tear gas around. So it was actually, if I'm not wrong, I think it was the police, because the police ended up basically stopped being police and then they ended up rebelling as well. So they joined in the protests and they were basically throwing tear gas to the other guys. And I'd never ever experienced anything like it. But I remember I was walking, and also La Paz is the highest capital city in the world. So the altitude there is pretty high, which means breathing is already hard as it is.
Yes.
The air is extremely thin. And yeah, so I got caught between all the tear gas and I just started feeling my eyes were burning. My nose was completely, felt like literally something, like I had fire up my nose.
It was probably the tear gas.
Yeah, it was a tear gas. It was, because I was walking through and I thought, when I saw all of this happening and I started feeling like this, like I said, oh my God, no, I need to get back to the hostel, like ASAP. So I started basically running back. And there's fire being thrown everywhere. There's all these loud bangs everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, where am I? Like, where am I? I started getting really scared at that point. And I was still hungry because I wasn't able to find a restaurant. All I was caring about was finding my safe space. So I'm in a foreign country, so I'm on my Google Maps trying to find my way back. I'm like quick zoom ups. Okay, no, this road. Okay, run. next turn. Okay, run.
Yeah.
Ended up getting to the hostel, and then when I see everything's barricaded, there was all these metal things on the front of the gate of the hostel, and I said, oh my god, am I stuck outside?
Oh
Like,
no.
how am I going to get inside? I literally looked around, there was nobody around, and I tried to knock on the metal. I was literally knocking there for about 5 minutes until somebody eventually came up, and they were like, what are you doing outside? So what do you mean? I went to try and find food. They were like, the protests are really dangerous, you can't leave the hostel. And nobody told me I couldn't leave the hostel.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got inside, and I was there, and I was like coughing. There was a few of us in there that were coughing, that had been caught outside. And everybody's eyes were just red. Oh, it was just horrible. I was literally thinking, what am I doing? Why did I do this trip by myself? I don't have any family, I don't have any friends here with me. Like, I started getting quite scared. But the next few days, so actually, before I say what happened next, is when we got to the hostel, there was a group of us that were really hungry because we hadn't been able to find anywhere to eat. All the restaurants obviously had closed all their shutters because the protesters started looting and started going into the restaurants. And we started hearing stories about things that were happening in restaurants that travelers had been in, where the protesters just came in basically and just started like causing havoc in the restaurants.
Yeah.
So it started getting dangerous, and we were basically speaking to the staff at the hostel, and we said, look, we need to eat. Is there anything that we can do, anything around here? And he said to me, actually, the chicken shop next door has its shutters down, but they are serving.
Yeah.
And he said to us, like, look, let me go and get it for you guys. So bless him, he actually went out. I think it was like 10 of us that needed to eat at that point. So he went and got a whole bunch. He got a huge order of chicken and chips.
That's awesome that he did that.
So he went next door, he got it for us, and I mean, that was a lifesaver. That evening. But I think you can definitely feel the fear in the hostel because now everything's barricaded. We're not allowed to go out. We're stuck inside. There wasn't much to do in the hostel. By this point, all of the vending machines had been cleared out. People had already ate everything that was in there. We didn't have any snacks or nothing. So it was quite scary because literally felt like, I've never experienced this in my own countries, and I'm in another country and I'm going through this, and I wasn't even prepared for this. Like, what's going to happen if I have to stay here a month or 2 months?
Right.
I mean, now having been in quarantine, I can see that's possible, but back then I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
And my mom was
but at least you could have food in quarantine. Over there you couldn't even have food.
Exactly, that was my worry, because even then the staff couldn't make it in for breakfast the following day. So we thought, what are we going to do for breakfast? And the staff at the hotel didn't know what to do with us.
So at the end of the day, how were you able to get out?
So we basically ended up building like a little community in the hostel, all of us, and we were all updating each other on what was going on. So there was people trying to book flights, and they would go to the airport, but then the flights would be cancelled, so they have to make their way back to the hostel. And then all the transport links were cut off, so there was no buses going out of the city or into the city. I had people who were meant to be coming to La Paz, and they couldn't get in either. So the next point from La Paz, if you're not going to the other cities, is going straight to Uyuni, your background. And then what had happened is, so we built this community. People kept trying. I had booked my bus to Uyuni for like, I think that must have been for like the Monday. The Monday came, and basically the bus company was like, it's cancelled. There's no way we can leave the city, or all the buses can't leave. And that kept getting rescheduled, and I kid you not, it got rescheduled for about 8 days. Every day, me hoping that this is when I could leave, and I wasn't able to leave. And then by that point, everybody, like, the numbers in the hostel got really low. There was probably only about a handful of us left, and I said, okay, no, I need to do something. What am I gonna do? I need to leave. And then there was a family of 3, these young guys from the UK. Actually, they were also from London. And they said to me how they managed to find an agency nearby that was doing flights to Uyuni, and they were half price. And I said, okay, no, whatever needs, I'm going with you guys. I'm sticking along with you, because even getting to the airport is a hassle. There's no transport. So they basically said to me, look, it's in this place, like, go there and find it. So I went early the next morning, and I had all the details of their flight, and I said, look, can I please just get onto this flight? The lady, it was a kerfuffle because she was trying to confirm it. She said, I can't tell you now, like, I'll call you. Anyway, ended up being confirmed.
Okay.
And then the following day, we actually had kind of like an escort he came and took us all the way to the airport. It was the guy, one of the guys from the agency. Yeah, it was like her husband or something like that. And then he took us and we got cab to one of the stations, taxi to the stations, and then from the station we got the metro cable then took another taxi. It was quite long
journey.
It was just it was a struggle all the way there, but we had to leave at like 7 a.m. or like 6 or 7 a.m. to go to the airport. The flight wasn't until 1 p.m. but we couldn't. It could have taken us 4 hours to get to the airport. You know, it was just so much going on at that point in time, and the protest could get bad at any point. So, you know, we didn't want to risk it. We were fed up. I'd been in that hostel now for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When I only had initially planned to stay for 5 days. So it was nice to finally be able to just get out. And the good thing is, actually, the hostel said to us they were only charging us half price of the normal stay. So I ended up paying like £4 or £5 each for the night I was staying there, which wasn't terrible. And to be honest, I couldn't think of anything better to stay. I mean, I had my own little TV in my pod.
Yeah.
Had my own little private door, you know, had my little mood lighting. It was nice. It was a nice place to stay in. But yeah, so I finally got to the airport, and then I made my way to Ujuni after that.
So even if the protest wasn't happening, the only way to get to Ujuni is through a flight?
I believe there is a bus, because I think I had initially booked a bus to get to Ujuni, but it's quite far, because it's like, I believe it's right at the edge of, it's right in the border between Bolivia and Chile. So getting from La Paz to there, there is a bus, but obviously around that time there wasn't anything that I could take you there. So but yeah, I remember leaving my hostel in La Paz and thinking, oh my god, I feel like I'm leaving prison. You know, especially with all like the metal things that they had to take away for you to leave. It was scary. I had to sleep for the nights. I don't know what they were throwing. I think it was like those things that explode on the floor. I don't know what they're called. But they were throwing these, like, it was something that created really loud bangs all through the night. You know, insane, absolutely insane.
And did they say that this happens often, or it just happened that time because of elections?
Yeah, it was because of it was a particular election. I think this was a very problematic election for them.
Okay.
I wasn't entirely sure what was happening exactly, but I do from what I heard was that the president at the time was from an indigenous background, and some other people in the country didn't basically agree with his ways. So the government basically were trying to overthrow him, and that's why the police and everybody just ended up joining the protest. So there was nobody controlling the country.
Yeah,
you know.
Evo Morales, yes, a lot of people don't agree with him, but
yeah. Exactly.
So when you got to Ujuni, tell us everything about it, because that's like in my bucket list, has been there forever, and I really want to go there.
You know, Ujuni for me just made Bolivia one of my most favorite countries. You know, having everything I'd been through, I was, to be quite honest, quite fed up, and I was like, Bolivia is horrible. I need to leave Bolivia. You know, that was my mindset. But it just goes to show one bad experience can't define where you visited. You know, a lot of us maybe sometimes visit some countries and have bad experiences and now end up talking rubbish about that country, but really and truly no, you know. Exactly. So I ended up getting to Ujuni, and I did a 3-day, I think there's different types. So there's a 3-day or 4-day tour, and the tours either start in Ujuni and finish in Ujuni, or they start in Ujuni and they finish in Chile. In San Pedro y Atacama. So they took us from Ujuni. Oh God, can I even remember? It was the most amazing 3 days I think I'd ever experienced. We visited a salt factory. So we got to see basically how they created the typical salt sold in Bolivia. And then, you know, there's places where you can buy all of your salt souvenirs and all that kind of stuff. And then they took us to the salt flats. I think that was all on the first day. Yeah, it was all on the first day. They took us to the salt flats, and it was just a sight for sore eyes. I couldn't believe it. It was, as far as you can see, white, because the sky is all blue, and then I went during the dry season, so I didn't actually get to see the reflection that many people get to see.
Yes.
You know, which I think.
So you went in what months?
It was in November.
So November is the dry season.
Yeah, I believe it starts in December. That's when the wet season starts in December. So I was hoping that maybe I might see it, and I was hoping maybe, like, you know, the wet season will come early, but it didn't. But it was a beautiful day when I went. It was very sunny, which also made for really nice pictures. And, you know, so you get to the actual salt flat. They just drive into the middle, and there's, I don't know how they managed to do this, because I know it's a very visited place, but they managed to get, you don't see anybody else around you, you know, that's how huge it is. So they must coordinate somehow to just,
almost like the desert kind of thing, right?
Yeah, no, it is. That's what they call it, like a salt desert, don't they? A white desert. And so the floor has all these like kind of octagon type or hexagon type shapes on the floor, which is naturally created, because underneath the salt flats, I believe there's a lake. There's a lake underneath the salt flats, which is what creates that, all the patterns and everything. And they do all these really cool pictures with you. You know, actually one of the ones you guys posted the other day of me standing on top of a wine bottle.
Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah, I've never seen that one.
Oh, really? I mean, you must have seen probably the ones with like the dragon. Where, like,
or like eating the other person.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They're very creative, very, very. And we didn't know what kind of pictures they were going to take of us. You know, the guide just said to us, do this, do that. And then when we actually saw it at the end, you feel quite silly doing it, because he's just over there taking a picture. You know, imagine me, I'm just here taking a picture, and I'm just putting a wine bottle on the floor, and I'm finding all these angles on the floor, and we're staring at him like, what are you doing? You know, you're just laying on the floor with a wine bottle taking a picture of it, and he's telling us, move this way, move that way, do this, do that, anyway, when we actually saw the pictures, we were like, oh no, let's go back and do it again, but then do this time. You know, now we were on board. Yes. So we ended up coming up with our own ideas and then contributing, and then, you know, it was lovely. It was such a nice experience to do that, to see how they all came out. It's majestic. Oh man.
So how long do you last there? And then you say it's 3 days, so what do you do all 3 days?
Yeah, so the first day is that it's salt factory, salt flats out, and then that same day you go and eat at Salt Restaurant, which is in the middle of a uni. There's a whole restaurant just made of salt. The tables are made of salt, and actually if you actually do taste it with your mouth, everything tastes like salt, which is what's bizarre. I thought it was maybe fake, but it's not. It's actually all made of salt. And we did a buffet. There we ate, and then from there we then headed to a hotel, which is a salt hotel.
No way.
Yeah, so the beds are made of salt. Obviously they put the mattress on top of it, but the walls are all salt. Your little bedside table is made of salt.
That's so cute.
Everything. Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing experience. I didn't think salt could be so strong to withhold, you know, a whole building. But yeah, we stayed there, had an amazing dinner, and the bottle of wine that we used to take pictures, we actually drank it at the dinner. So, so that was nice. And then yeah, so basically we ended up having like early night, because we were heading off to oh no, I missed the part. Oh god, we did a lot on the first day. So before we actually got to the Salt Hotel, after we had our lunch, we visited Inkawasi Island, Isla Inkawasi, which is in the middle of this desert. There is a little basically plot of green land, which has the tallest cacti, but I'm talking like the size of buildings. Really huge cacti, gigantic, and the pictures there just look unreal. They really do look unreal, because you're standing next to this cacti and it's like 5 times the size of me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so you get to see all of that. You get to see the island, and then it's just endless white. really nice. So we stayed there, and then we actually got to see the sunset on in the salt flats. So we drove out, and we took out some snacks and just sat there and then watched the sunset. And I can imagine that must be a beautiful experience when it's the wet season.
But if it's wet, can you actually sit down and because it's wet?
They must probably bring chairs or something. And we actually sat on the floor, because obviously it was dry. But it's actually quite uncomfortable because the salt is really hard, when it's like,
I may have to go twice now because I want to see the dry and I want to see the wet.
This is exactly what I was saying. I said, no, I have to come back, and God willing, I'll get the opportunity to go back one day during wet season, because the pictures and everything just look insane, especially during the sunset. So then we did that, watched the sunset, and then we headed back to the hotel. I remember, gosh, that was a really packed out day. And then the next day we visited, we were making our way, where were we making our way to? The Siloli Desert, El Desierto Siloli, which is where we have the famous rock tree, which is that basically that huge rock that looks like a tree. But on the way there, we got to see all the different lagoons of, what was this called? I think it's like Reserva Natural Eduardo something. But it's included in the tour. They always take you there because you have to go past there to go to the Siloli Desert. So we ended up, so we, what was I talking about?
You had to pass the Reservas Naturales in order to go to Siloli Desert.
So then you have all the different colorful lagoons. There's a green lagoon, there's a red lagoon, there's a blue lagoon, and there's loads of flamingos everywhere you go. Which is
so beautiful.
Yeah, honestly. And we actually had so then we had lunch in one of the lagoons, I remember now. And we had lunch in one of the lagoons, and I remember just seeing, for example, the red lagoon. It's something beautiful to watch because it's like a mixture of like red and green and blue, and you think, how do all of these work? How do all these colors just work together? But beautiful. We also tried to do some falcon, spotting like the falcon birds, like the big, huge falcon birds, and they were flying around freely. Just looked beautiful in between all the lagoons and everything. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. So that was the second day.
So when you get to the Siloli Desert, it's like an actual desert. It's not salt anymore.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it's like a sand desert. That's normal sand. And again, it's just, as far as you can see, it's sand, I think because I've grown up in a city, I'm so used to things being like sort of space bound, the city ends here.
Yeah.
And being able to see just endless white and endless deserts and endless colors, it's a sight. I mean, I literally couldn't blink because I thought, I don't want to miss a second of any of this that I'm seeing.
Yeah. Wow.
So in the Siloli Desert, one thing I do say is it's so windy there. It's super windy, and there's all these different rocks of all these different type of rock formations. And I remember trying to take pictures. I was trying to do it for the gram, but I couldn't do it because it was like every time I take a picture there was like sand coming in my eye, or you'll be literally fighting against the wind because it's so windy there. And the whole idea is that you try and like sort of like trek up the rocks and then get to the top of the rock, and then you take a nice picture there. Yes. I did manage to get a few shots on there. Actually, I've even forgot to mention, we met a lovely group of solo travelers on this group. So they did a great job of putting us all together, a group of solo travelers. And one of the guys on the tour with me, he was a photographer. He loves taking photos. So all of the pictures that I've got on my gram are basically thanks to him. He did an amazing job.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, he did. And actually, it gets even cooler because I actually ended up dropping my plans that I had for Chile to jump in a car with him and road trip the whole of Chile with him.
No, that's fantastic.
It was a moment of serendipity that just ended up turning into an amazing experience because we just kicked off so well. He's from Sweden. oh my God, he's going to kill me if I don't say this right. But I think Sweden, I think. Yeah. And yeah, we ended up getting on really well, and he was going to continue on to Chile anyway. I had my transport booked and everything, and I had places that I wanted to go to, but I thought, you know what, a road trip sounds even better, so yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Just rented a car and made our way all the way down to Santiago de
That
Chile,
is
going through the desert.
fantastic. So did you end up spending 2 weeks in Chile, or did you spend more now because you were with him?
I spent 2 weeks in Chile, yeah, because I did have my return flight back to Colombia booked on the 27th of November.
Okay.
So I was actually really short for time towards the end. I didn't get to see Santiago de Chile. I only basically got there, and on the next day I was flying out. So the next morning. So I didn't get to experience it properly, but we got to experience all the way down. And yeah, basically just get to enjoy.
So cool. So you, after you went to Siloli Desert, the third day, what did you do?
On the third day was, here. So on the third day is when we stayed in some accommodation in the middle of the desert. It was freezing cold at night. Like, I don't know how it wasn't snowing because it was so cold. Obviously, I know it's a desert, it won't snow in a desert, but anyway. So we ended up staying there for the night and had a really lovely dinner. We drank so much wine that night. This is one of my favorite things about Bolivia. We drank so much wine on that whole trip. And Bolivian wine is so sweet. I was in heaven because there was red wine, but it was so lovely. And we ended up staying there. And at nighttime, my photographer friend, his name's Daniel, he said to me, he was like, look, we're in the middle of the desert. We are literally at the best place to see the stars if you want to go and like star watch. So we ended up getting a group of us and we walked up the hill and ended up basically stargazing. And he knows how to use his camera really well. So we ended up taking some shots using the torch from my phone and using like a certain shutter speed limit or whatever it is, and high ISO, anyway, all of that camera stuff. And he said to me, look, just do this, try and write your name out with using the torch from your phone. And he said to me how slowly I had to do it and where I had to move. It took us about 20 times before we actually got it, but the shot at the end was basically the stars above and my name in the middle of the dark. Just like, obviously I've got a short name, so that was good.
You have it in your stories, right?
Yeah.
I want to see that. Oh my god.
In my photos. It looked amazing, and it took us a while to get there, and we were in the middle, like literally my toes I couldn't feel them anymore by the time we finished. I said to him, like, Daniel, we need to go now because it's just too cold. I can't hack it. And I'm from England where it's usually very cold anyway, but but that was an amazing night. And we basically woke up at 4 a.m. the next day because we were now going to go and head over to the geysers in Sol De Manana, which is basically these huge holes on the ground where we were nearby volcanoes, so there's a lot of volcanic activity around there. And these holes were basically blowing out like steam so high in the air, and there was like boiling mud holes as well all around, so you actually saw all the mud like bubbling up, and it's not quite bad because it does smell, all the sulfur smells quite strong, but it was just so beautiful to see. And we got to see the sunrise as the geysers were blowing out all this hot air. So it was just like something out of a Mad Max film. It was beautiful. It was crazy.
By this time you had already forgotten about La Paz.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is what I'm saying. This brought my whole experience in Bolivia to an all-time high. I even think I would say Bolivia was now one of my most favorite countries I visited because of that reason.
Wow.
So then after that tour, we had a very sweet ending because after we finished there, I think we left around 5 a.m. then ended up leaving the geysers around 7 a.m. and we made our way to some hot springs where that was the end of the tour. So we ended up in some hot springs as the sun was still rising. It was an early morning, and of course we all got into the hot springs and ended up making friends with everybody else who was there. And there was some other young lot from the States, and they were drinking wine, and they just ended up sharing their wine with us, and we were drinking wine at 7 a.m. on a Monday.
That's the best. Well, it's 5 p.m. somewhere.
That's what I was saying. I said, you know what? It's probably in the UK. I know it's like 6 hours ahead. Okay. It's acceptable.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was nice, and it was a nice ending to the whole trip. I literally had forgotten about anything that had happened before. Everything. It made it all so worth it.
That's why you were delayed. Because if not, you would have never met this guy from Sweden.
Exactly. And had
that trip in Chile, and like everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. It's amazing how everything happens for a reason. And you do think, you make lifelong friends on these trips, and you have experiences that are made amazing because of the people that you're with,
Yes. And that's why I also encourage solo traveling, because you actually open yourself more to meeting other people when you're traveling solo. So you're a great example of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm here. This is why I've created my Instagram and everything, because I want people to feel the experience that I felt solo traveling. I felt like I'm the kind of person that was very restricted to my comfort zone, and I never used to like leaving my comfort zone. I had a very comfortable life in the UK, and I could have happily stayed there, got married, had kids, and lived a good life. But sometimes you need to like shake that up a little bit, be able to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and the most amazing experiences happen when you do. And there are people who have bad experiences, but sometimes we only listen to the bad and forget to also recognize all the good that did happen. I could have come on here and told you guys how terrible my La Paz and Bolivia experience was, but really and truly had the sweetest ending, no pun intended, and just made my whole travel amazing, my whole travel experience, and now I'm saying every year I want to go on a solo trip. I want to have that experience, not only because of what you see, but the people you meet, and you open yourself up so much more to the world, and that's a really nice experience.
Absolutely.
Nice experience.
So I still want to know what happened when you got to the border of Chile and like you didn't have the stamp.
Oh my God. Yeah, so then that was it. So then after, I'm all happy, I'm high off my experience in Bolivia, and then I get to the border of Chile, and it's all a bit manic. It's an immigration, I wouldn't even call it an office. It's like a shack, right? And it's just a long queue outside in the middle of the desert. And all these buses are arriving on one side and all these buses are leaving on the other side. Anyway, nobody's telling you where to go, but you just see a queue, so you line up. So we all lined up, the group of us that came together. And anyway, all the guys were in front of me. They did all their passports, cool, they were fine, got their stamps, and then they went. Then the guy took my passport, and I was traveling with my Colombian passport. Anyway, he looked and he was flipping, and he couldn't see. And then I just see him close it and start again flipping. I was like, why is he going for my passport so much? I was thinking, I always get a bit nervous in immigration anyway. I was thinking, God, okay, hopefully nothing's wrong. I've got my stamp. He says to me, and he just dashed it back at me, and he said, you haven't got a stamp. And I was like, excuse me, what do you mean I don't have a stamp? And he said, you don't have a stamp? I said, no, look, it's here. And I showed him the Peru one, thinking that was the only one I needed. Like I said earlier, this was my first time solo traveling through land. I've always gone through plane. So I wasn't aware that you had to get a stamp out of Peru and in Bolivia. So I didn't have a stamp basically saying that I was legally allowed to stay in Bolivia. So as far as they were concerned, I was in Bolivia illegally and I had trespassed. And he made it very clear. He said to me, he's like, you don't have a stamp anyway. After he explained to me, he's like, look, you didn't get your stamp in Bolivia. I said, there was no office in Bolivia. I just got rushed into the bus. Like, it's not my fault. I started getting defensive, thinking like, oh my God, it's not my fault. He said, who else's fault is it? Like, you didn't get it. Okay, fine.
Is that a trick that they use maybe? Or is it really you need a stamp?
I mean, no, you do. No, you definitely need a stamp. Okay. But the fact that there was like the people who were rushing me on the bus, it's all part of this company called Peru Hop that you can use going from Peru to Bolivia. Then it becomes Bolivia Hop. I feel like, honestly, they should have probably done a better job at making sure that the people that were on there, because it's a package that you buy on Peru Hop that takes you from Peru all the way to Chile.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought, I was actually kind of angry because I was thinking they should have probably warned everybody, have you got your stamps in Bolivia? But no.
So anyway, what happens to you if you don't have a stamp?
So if you don't have a stamp, they said, the guy was basically trying to threaten me. He said to me, we can take you to to prison until you can find a way to pay us, or basically until we can prove that you weren't here illegally, kind of thing. I said to him, I was like, you know, you can see all my stamps and stuff. You can see that I've been traveling from Colombia, Peru, Bolivia. Like, I don't want to stay in Bolivia. Yeah. And also, by the way, let me just show you the sunset. Look at this, just while you're here. Look at that.
Oh my God.
It's all really pink.
So pretty.
So I was just staring at them. I thought, probably
so
can't.
Guys, she's in Medellin right now. So this is what Medellin sunsets look like.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, the guy said to me, he was like, look, you need to basically pay $50 and that will cover your stamp. I was thinking, oh my God, is this going to be like a crazy amount? I don't know how much trespassing fines are. I'm thinking it's going to be like $1,000 and I'm going to be like, you know, broke and not be able to pay it. And I don't know. So I tried to get into that mode of, Sky, these are experiences, you know, it's an experience and people don't die because of this, like relax. But my heart was beating so fast because I was so nervous. I was like, what am I going to do? I didn't have the $50. I had Peruvian money and I had pounds.
Oh my God.
And even then I didn't have enough pounds. I only had like 20-30 pounds left over. Anyway, I was thinking, what am I going to do? I said to him, I was like, look, I don't have the cash, but I've got a card. He goes, Niña, está en la mitad de un desierto. Like, you're in the middle of a desert. Where do you think a card machine is going to work here? Like, he was so rude to me, and I was like, oh, good.
So oh my God, I'm like anxious for you.
So no, luckily, the guys that were in front of me in my group, they were waiting outside for me. And I said to them, I was like, look, let me try and get the money from somewhere so I can pay you and I want to get out of here. He goes, okay, you've got 10 minutes to sort it out, otherwise we're taking you in. Oh my God, okay, I'm going to be in prison in another country. No, I need to find
my God.
So I basically said, I rushed outside, basically left immigration. I had to beg the guy at the door to let me out so I can get the money. It was all a struggle. And I felt really uncomfortable because, I mean, asking people for money that don't know you, and we're now entering Chile where we're all going to go in our separate ways. How are they going to make sure I'm going to pay them back?
Yeah.
And I said to Daniel, the guy, Daniel. So I said to him, Daniel, like, have any of you got money? Have any of you got, like, the other guys were like, no, we didn't bring any cash with us. Like, nobody thinks about bringing all these dollars. They think only about bringing Bolivian money or, you know.
Yeah.
And then Daniel luckily had like $100 on him. So he gave me $50 and I said to him, look, I promise you, I will pay you them back, like one way or another. I promise you.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know if he trusted me at that point or not. He probably just thought, you know what, it might just be a loss, an L I have to take. So anyway, I ended up paying the guy 50. And what he said is that what he's doing actually isn't allowed. So they're not actually allowed to stamp you there and then your entrance. So he stamped me my passport and then he was like, please make sure that the date you're telling me is the exact date you came in, because otherwise you could get in trouble. But basically it looks like I forged my entry. So I literally had to make sure I went for my phone and double checked that the date I did enter, you know, leave Peru and entered Bolivia was that date. So basically he wrote the date that I entered as if to say, look, and he put it on a separate page so it didn't look obvious. It was all this palaver. I felt like I was a criminal at that point in time, you know. Oh my God. Oh no. I got my stamp and I was out of there.
Yeah.
Then that's when we then got the bus that went into Chile. I don't know if anybody here has gone from Bolivia to Chile by bus, but it's the most intrusive like search. They get everybody off the bus and they make you open all of your backpack and they make you basically open up everything to check what's inside. If you have even a grain of some sort of nut that doesn't belong in Bolivia, you're in trouble. Like they were so strict with not bringing stuff from Bolivia into Chile, extremely strict. I didn't get that experience.
Like food wise or like anything?
Food, like mainly food. It was mainly like food, like I think somebody had salt from like the Ujuni desert that they had bought like souvenirs and stuff, and we were all just really unsure because they were saying like it was like nothing, absolutely, you cannot bring anything from Bolivia into Chile. So everybody was just kind of like, oh God. Even a girl had an orange, bless her, and she started like crying.
Yeah, you can have things with seeds and fruits because of the agriculture.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, she had an orange, but she was so like, because they were so scary and intimidating in the border, she started crying and she was like, oh my God, what do I do with this orange? I'm so sorry.
Let's eat it quickly, break it. Let's eat it.
Exactly. We thought, I mean, no, it's pa tanto, it's okay. Like, let's just throw it in the bin. I'm sure it's fine, you know. But she was so worked up because, you know, because of how intimidating they were at that border. But anyway, we ended up getting a bus and then we reached San Pedro de Atacama in the end. And I was officially no longer illegal.
Yeah. So the transition is in the middle of the desert, technically.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is, yeah. There's a bus that brings you to the border and then a bus that takes you out and takes you into San Pedro, which is then basically the next center that you enter. Chile. And from there on, it was an amazing experience on its own. So yeah. Bolivia was amazing. I cannot lie. Bolivia was an amazing experience, but it was mainly because of those last 3 or 4 days that I spent there.
Yeah.
Because, God.
I mean, Evo Morales was president for, I believe, over 15 years or something like that. So that's why the protests were so crazy, because they were like, you're not gonna stay here any longer.
Exactly.
So imagine like if they were to do that to the current president of Venezuela, it will be as huge.
It's huge. Exactly. No, it was big. And, you know, you can see it in people's faces. There was so much anger. You know, there was even the people at the hostel, you know, they were not caring about the travelers at all. You know, they were just focused on the news and the TV. My mom was calling me. She said, Sky, like, I don't think you understand. This is a big, big problem. You know, but I think a part of me wanted to be a bit oblivious because I didn't want to believe in the danger that I was in because I was right in the middle of it. And, you know, the hostel weren't providing us food. I had to go out and find food. Sorry, excuse the dogs. You know, I had to fend for myself. I didn't have anybody there with me. I didn't have a shoulder to cry on or anything, but at the same time, I wasn't trying to stress my mom by telling her just how dangerous the situation was where I was. I remember once calling her from a restaurant because I managed to find Wi-Fi in a restaurant. I remember calling her and being like, literally, I was here FaceTiming her because she wanted to see my face. Right outside the restaurant, the shutters were closed in the restaurant, obviously. There was police barricading the whole road because there was protests happening right outside that door. But I was just really mindful. I didn't want to make her stress or make her worry. So, no, everything's fine. Look, this is the burger I'm having. Like, we're okay. You know, I'm okay. Everything's, you know, don't worry, basically. But she was like, you need to get out of there. You need to get out there as soon as possible. When I got to Chile, there was also protests in Chile. And she was saying to me that there was also protests in Colombia. So there might be a problem with me coming back to Colombia. It was a lot of uncertainty at that point. But you know what? It was all part of the experience. And I lived to tell the tale. So
exactly. I now will talk to you privately about your journey in Chile because that's in the top of my list as well.
Yeah.
This past summer, the last summer, not this 2020, I was supposed to do a whole road trip too. Peru, Bolivia. I was gonna get to Argentina, Chile, and all that. And then my husband got accepted to school. So I'm like, okay, we need to change plans because that's priority. And that's when I moved to California that I was telling you I went to live there for a year. But I was gonna do all that.
Oh, you know what? Make sure you do. Make sure you do. Road tripping through South America is amazing. Yeah. The best decision I could have ever made. So fun. You meet so many people. I've got so many stories. Many stories, but
I'm super hyped.
We'll be here for another 6 hours if I continue.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions, please? If you have any questions about Bolivia, this is the time to ask. Is the money good there? Like, is it worth a lot? Oh, the pictures! We forgot about them.
Of course.
Thank you, Lisandra, for reminding us. We got carried away.
Yes, we did. Okay, 1 second. I'll share my screen. Let me just find where I am first. Okay, there we are.
No, we're gonna share them now. We just totally forgot because we were having so much fun.
Yes. Okay, here we go. So I'm just on my Instagram at the moment, guys. I'm just gonna show you. So quickly just show through the pictures I took, and then I'll show you guys the story of Death Road and everything so you can see. So this is it starts from so this is Isla del Sol when I went in Copacabana. And then we ended up going to Death Road, which you can see. Look, these are the cliff edges on Death Road. And this is when you get to the end of Death Road, where they show you basically welcome to death road really means you've survived death road. So
Yeah.
I was really happy there. I even said, Mama, I made it. And then this is on one of the days I actually managed to get out of La Paz and go and walk to one of the viewing spots in La Paz.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to take some pictures on there, which were pretty cool. But yeah, even walking back from this was a hassle because I wanted to spend more time getting to know La Paz, and I didn't really get the opportunity to. So we ended up this is when we started our trip to a uni. So it starts at this train cemetery where you take some cool pictures. There's not really much to do there apart from, is that the only picture there? Oh no, it's more here. Apart from like take pictures, but the whole story is that you go from there used to be this train that used to transport minerals over from Peru to Bolivia and then to Chile. I believe that's right, or from Bolivia to Chile at least. But it's pretty cool to take some pictures, as you can see. They just put graffiti all over there. And then this was actually at the restaurant, just outside the restaurant. There's all this place with all these flags. And the whole idea is that, people take their flags and then they stick them on these poles, and you have to basically go and find your flag. And I managed to find my Colombian flag because yay. That was that. And these are some of the cool, this is Inkawasi Island. Remember I said to you with the gigantic cacti. I mean,
Wow.
insane. It's actually insane how you can, how is it possible that this grows in such dryness? So much dryness around everywhere, but you've got this whole island full of cacti. And then these are the cool pictures you can take on this is Daniel.
That one looks so cool.
Yeah, it looks like he's
listening you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this is Daniel. This is my good friend Daniel. We've kept in touch.
The photographer.
The photographer, yes. This is another one.
I like that one too.
It's like I'm holding them. And then it's just you can create so many cool effects with the with just it's kind of like an optical illusion. And look, you can see this is what I meant on the floor. You have all these little like hexagons, and it's just as white as far as you can see.
Yeah,
but it's amazing. The sky over there is just impressive stuff over there. I don't know how that's even created, but anyway, it makes for some pretty cool pictures.
Yes.
This is the Siloli Desert that we went the next day, where you've got all these different rock formations. This is the famous rock tree.
Cool.
Yeah, the famous rock tree. And then you can climb up, like I said, you can climb up on all these rocks and get some pretty cool pictures, but it is very, 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 very windy. Some of the lagoons.
So do you recommend people wear a scarf or something, or like around, and glasses so it doesn't get in their eyes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and definitely take clothes to help you stay warm, because the desert gets really, really cold. Extremely cold. And just some glasses for the wind and all that kind of stuff. I even had a woolly hat. I took a woolly hat with me, and that came really handy. There's all these train tracks as well that you can see, and there's a place you can stop to see wild rabbits. Which is pretty cool. Yeah, these are all the flamingos that you also get to see there.
So many.
Beautiful. It's just unreal that there's this other side of the world that's probably empty at the moment, because there's no tourism there at the moment. And
because when is it gonna open up so I can go?
Yes. Exactly. These are the geysers that I was telling you guys about in Sol De Manana.
Super close.
Yeah, you can walk in between them, literally walk in between them. This is the sunrise that we were seeing there with all the smoke and stuff. It literally looked like a movie set. It's beautiful. These are the mud holes with the boiling mud.
Yeah.
And then this is also one of the other lakes on there. I love this picture. I feel like it just captures my solo travel so perfectly, this picture. And this is the picture I was telling you I took in the night. So that was it. That took us about 20 goes.
Oh my God.
Yes, and that was, you can see the stars at night. And basically it was like the camera took pictures at certain points, and then it created this. But at first you couldn't see my face, and then I didn't write sky properly, but we got there in the end.
Because you have to do it like the opposite way.
Yes, exactly.
So that,
yeah, exactly.
wow.
And then we obviously the hot springs where we then got to after, and I was drinking wine at 7 a.m.
Straight from the bottle, that's right.
Yeah. You know how we do. Yeah, and that was basically my trip in Bolivia. I want to show you guys the highlights quickly because
so your entire itinerary, like you spent then about, if you spend 4 weeks, then 2 weeks, then 2 more weeks, so that's about 2 months technically.
Yeah, 2 months.
What was your budget for that whole 2 months?
So I had pre-booked my tours and most of my travel already. And I paid about, I'm going to talk in pounds because I bought it in pounds. But it was probably about £1,000 that I spent on my tours and my travel.
Okay.
I then booked my hotels, and on my spending money, it was probably about, I think it was about 400 a month. 400. So I think in total about £2,000 I spent on the 2 months, including everything: tours, transport, hotel, food, spending money, everything.
But you like stay in like hostels, which are like super cheap and like that kind of stuff.
I stayed only in hostels. What I would do is every 2 or 3 hostels I'll stay in, and then I'll book a separate room, like a single room for myself, just to get a break from people. Sometimes you need your space.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so that was definitely very necessary. Necessary. Okay, so we got La Paz highlights. This is for example how they barricaded the hostel. And this was like kind of like on the first few nights I got there, I thought, what is going on? That's when I started. Oh, actually, wait, no, my La Paz highlights have started. Oh, why have they started? So can I not go back here? Anyway, the most important part is, okay, this was the second day. So this was my city tour. So then we can start from Death Road. This is my little pod, by the way, guys. Look, where you stayed in there, and it has, look, the TV, spacious, the lights, the ring light and everything. Amazing in there. And then this is when we started at Death Road. So you start from the very top, and you make your way down this huge road on the side. And we take some pretty cool pictures. I mean, this is all before we even...
So this is the famous Death Road. And we're cycling all down here. I can't lie, I'm shitting it.
So
I was so scared.
You said you go up in the bus and then you come down on the bike.
Yeah, so we make our way to the top, not through Death Road, through another road, just like the main road. And then we start to basically make our way down by bike,
Okay.
There we go. I don't know how. And then they take some pretty cool pictures of you on the edge.
And you took that picture? No. You're on the edge.
I know. And I was thinking at that time, I was like, my mom saw where I was right now, she would literally kill me. So,
Okay, now.
Wait, where is it? They took a good picture of us sitting on the edge. So,
Jesus.
I used to go slowly.
Okay, now.
It made for a picture though. So, that was it. Then we started.
And then back down the mountain.
We started basically going up again.
It's fucking scary.
Careful. Okay.
That was us. And we went, and that was the second leg. We actually ended up in a really nice hotel after with a pool and a lunch and everything. So it made everything worth it.
Very nice.
Yeah. What else is there to show you guys? So this is now the protests. I was kind of updating. At this time, my Instagram was only for my family and friends. So I was really updating with everything that was going on there.
Okay.
My mom didn't have access to it, obviously, because but here we go. Oh, this is another thing, actually. We had been told that the president had left, and we thought that was great. And for one night, it was peaceful. Little did we know they were now preparing for the proper protest to happen the following day. And that's when it started getting worse. And that's when the whole thing happened with the tear gas and everything. So people seem happy.
Sometimes you gotta take it to the streets to get what you want. And the country doesn't do what they gotta do.
I agree. This was my hostel where we stayed at. There wasn't really much to do there. There was a little bar, as you can see there, but there was no staff because the staff couldn't get to the hostel. So there was only like one or two guys in reception, and that was it. You know. And then so I was showing you guys this. This was the entrance.
So the situation's got a bit better, and I've made my way out the hostel today. And I thought I'd just come ride on these little cable cars. And it was actually a really good idea.
Well, it was until it wasn't, because then it started getting really bad. I was making my way back to the hostel and then it started getting pretty bad.
And I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just randomly taking
But this is La Paz, basically.
Wow, what a great view.
No.
Sorry, everything's sideways up.
So I went on the orange one.
But yeah, I mean, the little bit that I got to see of La Paz was lovely. It was nice. I wish I would have had more time to explore the city properly, but unfortunately I didn't. So I think this is now the ending. The lovely food I had before I left, and yep, that was me at the airport. Basically really excited to be heading over to uni.
So you don't have a UK passport, you have a Colombian passport?
No, I have both. I have dual nationality.
Okay, so when you were traveling from Bolivia to Chile, which one were you using? And do you think it made a difference?
Yeah, so the whole time I was traveling, let me close this for a second, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I was traveling, oh, it's gotten really dark now.
I can still see you.
Yeah, the whole time I was traveling through South America, I used my Colombian passport because I think that just made it easier for me to come back to Colombia because, you know, as a Colombian, you obviously have to use your Colombian passport here. So I had to kind of show where I've been all that time. And for getting visa, actually, the main reason I used it is because you get really good discounts if you are from the Andean region, from any of the Andean community countries. So Bolivia, Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, you get discounts throughout South. You get discounts in Machu Picchu, you get discounts in, I think, even Rainbow Mountain. So it's a lot more beneficial if you are from the Andean community to travel with your Andean passport than it is with your British passport. Definitely.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Sandra. It's nice to be sharing this with you guys. I've actually only ever shared it with my family, and it's on my Instagram for people to see, but it's nice to be able to share it personally with you guys.
And now it's going to be on our YouTube, and I'm going to show it to people in the Facebook, and everybody's going to see your journey.
That's exciting.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, and looking forward to one day making it there, hopefully when this, we can travel again. And I am really looking forward to building this friendship, because I'm definitely going to call you to talk about Chile.
Absolutely. I can't wait now. Honestly, I could go on for days talking about my travels. This is definitely what I'm passionate about, because I want to, it's nice to have a community that definitely want to hear your stories as well. I love hearing about other people's stories too. It's nice to feel inspired and be able to just have things on your bucket list to then go and do. So
exactly. Well, thank you so much, and have a beautiful evening in Colombia. You definitely inspire everybody here.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much, you guys, for giving me the opportunity to come on as well. It's been really, really fun sharing this experience, and I'm looking forward to seeing where all the other Latinos go, because we're a huge community of explorers. We love it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Have a beautiful evening, and we will talk soon. Bye.
Bye. Take care.